Well, hello again, everyone. This is Cameron King, the Certified American Grown, and welcome to Farmer Fridays. Today, we're very fortunate to have Lane DeVries with the Sun Valley Group here in California joining us. Lane, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Cameron. What about you?
Fantastic, thank you. It's another wonderful day, and if we get the chance to talk about all things cut flowers, it's even better. So, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Oh, you're
So,
very welcome.
thank you. Thank you.
Happy to be here.
So, well, tell us a little bit about Sun Valley for folks who may not be familiar with your farms and operations. Tell us a little bit about where you're located and what you grow.
Well, Sun Valley is located in Arcata, California. We are way up in the north part of the state, in the middle of the redwoods, the same climate where the redwoods grow big and tall is where our beautiful tulips and lilies and iris also are very happy in this very cool coastal climate.
Sure, sure. So, having the chance to spend some time with you yesterday, walking through greenhouses and seeing your operations, tell us a little bit about what makes that climate such a perfect area for those flowers that you're growing.
Well, if you look at the climate here in Arcata, the differential between winter temperature and summer temperature is about 10 degrees. Now,
Okay.
our average winter temperature is in the mid 50s, and average summer temperature is in the mid 60s. So that narrow band makes this climate here in Northern California very, very unique.
Sure, sure. And it's a beautiful part of the country. If folks haven't ever had the chance to go up there, the natural beauty that is there and then the beauty that you're growing there, they seem to complement each other really, really well.
Exactly.
So how, I know you were mentioning before that you have flowers in your blood. You're a multi-generational farmer. How did you find passion for flowers, though, even though the generations before you had been in flower farming?
Yeah, like I said before, I'm a fourth generation flower farmer. My dad grew tulips, and I've been exposed to seeing the tulips being grown since I was a little kid, and so it just kind of, yeah, I guess it's in my blood, and ultimately seeing the process from childhood on, it just kind of naturally kind of got sucked into growing flowers.
Sure.
My siblings all went different directions, but I'm the only one in the family who continued the flower farming tradition.
Sure, sure. Well, you moved here from Holland, so when people think of tulips, I think that the Dutch tulips are often synonymous with each other. So, growing tulips here in America, what do you see as are there differences? Are there similarities? What are some of the benefits of producing here certified American grown tulips?
Yeah, I came to this great country in 1983. This was $160 in my pocket. I came to first to Oregon to a company there to set up a lily program because I grew lilies as well. And so then in 1984 we came here to Arcata and to set up the greenhouse operation here. And the first season from 84 to 85 is when we brought our first tulips, because that's what we know, and felt very comfortable with that. And so we planted our tulips here, and we found that tulips do very well in particularly in the heart of the winter, when light conditions in Arcata are actually much higher than they are in Holland.
Right.
So we're able to grow varieties very well under very high light conditions compared to what it was in the homeland in those days. And so yeah, and then as you get more into the spring, and particularly early summer, it continues to stay cold here. And
Right.
when we're in the mid 60s, While in Holland, it tends to get much warmer as you go into the summer. So it's one of the benefits that we see in this climate here. And that also has, over time, we didn't do that in the early years, but over time we started making the tulip season longer and longer.
Right.
First we grew up to Easter, then it became Mother's Day, and for the last 20 years, we have been growing tulips year round, and can do so comfortably in this climate.
Sure. Well, and you've become known for your tulips and your lilies. What all is Sun Valley growing now that's been made available into the market?
I mean, our core competency are bulb flowers, so tulips, lilies, and also iris. And that represents about 85–90% of our sales.
Sure.
But then we also grow hyacinths in the wintertime. This time of year, we grow crocosmia, which is just in the summertime. We grow a little bit of brassica. We grow ranunculus, which is one of the crops, particularly the butterfly ranunculus. We grow those starting in January, and we still pick a few right now. We also pick a few peonies at the moment. And then in Willow Creek, we have a program with ilex
Right.
and rose hips, cotinus, snowberries, and snowball viburnum in the spring.
Sure.
That's really our main crops that we grow.
Well, that sounds like enough to keep you incredibly busy, especially all year round, the way you've got things going.
Never a dull day, that's for sure. Yes.
Well, thinking about never a dull day, you know, tell us a little bit about what you think are some of the opportunities for American farms and American cut flower and foliage farms here in the foreseeable future.
Well, yeah, there are a lot of opportunities. I mean, as we well know, the cost of production, particularly in California, keeps going up quite significantly. And so, doing business in California is not easy.
Right.
We've definitely seen the escalation of our cost structure as a result. But at the same time, growing flowers in this country and in the state of California, I mean, there are a lot of consumers that are curious where the flowers that they buy are grown.
Sure.
And engaging with the consumer along those lines. And the minute a consumer realizes that those flowers are grown on American soil, I think there's an aspect there that resonates with the consumer.
Sure. I completely agree. Completely agree. I think, and we're seeing that with consumers in their areas of interest with where their food comes from and where the products that they're buying to enjoy every day. So it's totally natural. And it seems like the next point that flowers would definitely be part of that. And so the importance of sourcing American grown flowers is pretty important to us.
Yep.
So you've been involved with Certified American Grown from the beginning.
Correct.
What drove you, or what is your interest in being such an important part of Certified American Grown, both as an early member, but also taking on leadership positions within the organization?
For the same reasons that I stated earlier. I mean, I think it's important for the American flower farmers, to present ourselves in the marketplace for what we do. And I think for the longest time that wasn't the case. And I think we now have an organization where we can truly proliferate ourselves, as American flower farmers growing on American soil. And I think banding together with a group of flower farmers, as we have done in the last more than a year ago, I think is very powerful. And having a voice in Washington D.C., putting the identification that this product is grown in the United States I think is very powerful. And so that's why I have been involved from day one. and was one of the founding members of this organization.
Well, we truly appreciate it, and we obviously share the same sentiment. It's an important piece to elevate the recognition of what's happening in our American farms in every corner of the country. And no matter what size you are, this is a place for everyone. And so appreciate that sentiment from the beginning that it's important for us all to band together. Thinking about that and thinking about the pieces that Certified American Grown stands for on policy issues and things, what do you think things like the importance of the introduction recently of the American Grown Act is for our domestic farms?
I think it's very important. I mean, when we, for the last several years, we've found that most consumers assume when they buy flowers that they are grown in the United States, but the reality of it is that that's not the case. I mean,
Right.
80% of the flowers that are sold in America are actually imported. And once you talk to consumers, to the American people about that fact, they're very surprised. And I think highlighting this, I think, is important. And the American Grown Act is just one of those vehicles that actually helps perpetuate that message. And so I think in that sense, I think it's great that members of Congress actually put this bill forward, and it seems to get some traction in Washington, D.C., which I think is absolutely wonderful.
I agree. I agree. And hopefully this is just the beginning of really great recognition for the work that you all are doing day in and day out. Because the contributions that you as a flower farm are making are not just in terms of beautifying our homes, our offices, our tables and events, but you're also employing people. You're making economic contributions to the community and to the country, and that's important things to recognize and really really valuable for us. So thinking about that, how can people find Sun Valley flowers?
I mean, our flowers are distributed through many wholesalers, in the country. I mean, every major city you will find a wholesaler that carries Sun Valley flowers,
Right.
and we sell to mass market customers throughout the country as well. So, and typically a Sun Valley logo or the you can find on the sleeves, and so. But yeah, any florist could go to any of the wholesalers, and like I said, in every city you'll find a wholesaler that carries our flowers.
Fantastic. Well, again, the reach and the contributions that you've made are exponential, and we appreciate you very, very much. If there's any parting words that you might like to share to the fellow flower farms that are out there watching this, or designers or florists, would love to give you the chance to give some parting thoughts.
Well, to my fellow flower farmers, keep fighting the fight. Don't give up. And to the overall floral community, think of Certified American Grown.
Fantastic, Lane.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you and all of our flower farms and flower fans across the country and around the world. Again, as Lane mentioned, look for the Certified American Grown seal. Check us out at americangrownflowers.org, and you have links to all of our fantastic flower farms, including Sun Valley. So, Lane, thanks again for your time today. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Cameron.